Welcome to Happy on Purpose with Janess Pearson. Real conversations with the people behind the businesses, the projects, and the good things happening in the Okanagan.
Today I'm sitting down with ChelanCotter, career development practitioner and founder of ChelanCotter Personal and Professional Coaching. Chelan brings over 25 years of experience, including a long career with Community Futures right here in Vernon, working inside federal and provincial employment programs, supporting people through job search, education, life skills, and entrepreneurship. But what's interesting about Chelan is that she doesn't just understand careers, she understands the systems behind them, and more importantly, what it actually takes for a person to move through those systems and rebuild their lives. Her work really centers around people, helping people move from survival to stability to purpose, which I think a lot of people listening will recognize in their own lives. Chelan, I'm really glad you're here.
I'm honored. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I've as you mentioned, we've met, but I've never had a chance to sit down with you. So I'm super excited about this conversation because I think we have a lot of things in common.
We do. Yeah. I can see us building a relationship after this. As
nice.
Well. Yeah.
That's the perfect thing for me.
Yeah.
So you've spent over 25 years in this field, including your time with Community Futures. What originally drew you to this work?
Yeah. So there's a theory out there called happenstance, and I happened to fall into working in this industry. I was at Silver Star Mountain for 10 years. I was laid off, and back in the day when you went into the EI system, you had to take a workshop, and I wanted to work there, and so I kind of fell into it. But when I look back on it, I see that I was destined for this career. I grew up in the school system. It wasn't easy for me. I have pretty severe dyslexia, so I never really thought I would have a career. And then, I could see patterns, and my mom was a Girl Guide and Brownie assessor, so for badges.
Yes.
And so she'd have these lists, and she would have to check them off, and I knew there was something to that. So I knew I could communicate that and get jobs babysitting. So I knew that there was that kind of shift. And then one day I had a teacher say to me, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I said, "I want to be an airline stewardess." Because that's what I thought everyone wanted to be.
Glamorous.
Right? Yeah. And he said, and that's when he said, "Oh, you want to be a glorified waitress."
No.
And it did. It popped my bubble. However, I could see something there. So wait a minute. If I could become a really good waitress, then I could become a really good flight attendant.
Nice pivot.
So I could see that. So I think I've always been destined to help people recognize themselves and see a path for themselves, even when their odds aren't always the best.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not all signs pointing to that career.
Yeah.
So when you look back now, what do you understand about people and work that you didn't understand at the beginning?
Really good question, because I think we always think of money, wages, money, providing security. But security is
it a thing anymore?
Well, right? Yeah, exactly. And what does that look like? There's all these myths and theories around jobs, but also that it's structure, it's routine, it gives us connection to people. It's more than money.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
camaraderie.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It keeps our brain going, right? It helps us with competencies. We build skills. That's where we build skills. We go to school, of course, but we build skills in employment too.
I've been telling my kids since they started the last year of high school. Of course, one of my daughters was a COVID grad, so that was hard. So that's the age group of all three of my kids. And I always say, right now is the time to try absolutely everything, because you will find out what you don't like faster than what you do like.
Exactly.
And listen when people say, "You're really good at X, Y, and Z," because we don't see ourselves.
Yeah.
We don't see ourselves.
Absolutely. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. You've worked across so many areas: employment programs, education, entrepreneurship. But what do they all have in common at the human level?
Yeah, so it gives us hope. They give us this, again, structure, routine, identity, purpose, and security. but I have to say there's a false sense of it's going to solve my problems.
Mm-hmm.
If I go back to school, it's going to solve all my problems. If I just get that job, it's going to solve all my problems. And usually there's some other underlining things that we need to fix before we jump into that interview or start creating that resume.
Yeah. I think even in entrepreneurship is, you get started and you get your website up and you've got this big dream and then whatever, and you realize you've got to wear all the hats, right? So are you prepared?
Yeah.
Do you recommend for people that are thinking about being in business for themselves? I know Community Futures has great programming.
Yeah.
To just see, are you really cut out for this?
Absolutely. Check it out. There's, we talk about building business plans, but there's something that you can build before you go into that called a business model canvas. And it'll just help you kind of, and that's, when we talk about my 7 steps later on, that's one of the pieces is the research. So you're not only researching this niche, this passion that you have, you're also researching, am I cut out to do this on my own?
Right.
And building supports around that.
Absolutely.
And usually they cost a little bit more money. So there's a little bit more stakes involved, right?
Yeah. And also I laughed when you said about when you decide to take a career and you're going to go to school and get your education, whatever. For entrepreneurs, it's I just need one more certificate. I always if I just get one more training.
Yeah,
it's like you're good. Start there.
Trust yourself, and that and so that's actually part of the 7 steps too, because it's a process, and that imposter syndrome or that second guessing or it's our trauma will pop up in areas that it's the last place we need it to be popping up.
Yeah. I mean, we even had that brief conversation of imposter syndrome. I mean, 57 in June, and I still, no matter what, and I've been working with people in some capacity since I was about 13 or 14, and I still don't know if I know how to communicate.
Right,
It's like, what? Why do we do that to ourselves?
Absolutely, yes, yeah.
Why do we do that? You recently stepped into your own business after all those years. What made that the right move for you now?
Yeah, I think sometimes I still question it. No, it was a nice progression. I think I kind of, I've been there for a long time and kind of felt like I mastered, not, of course, never mastered it, but started to build, a real confidence and knowledge and
you maybe got what you needed out of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, Community Futures and certain people like Norm Metcalf and Jane Lister, they helped me build this amazing portfolio and resume and confidence in myself. And it really helped with that. And then I started to think about retirement. Yes. And I don't want to retire early. Like, I feel like this is something I can do for a long time as long as I stay up on trends and technology and all of those sorts of things. I just felt like this is a good time. I was in a place too where my kids are all moving out. I've got 3 boys that are all pretty successful already, and my husband is a golf pro and a curling club manager. So it was at a point where I could let go of some responsibilities financially, and then, okay, let's build this up, and then in time, it'll be.
I mean, you talked about security in the beginning, because it is, especially I find at where I'm at now, looking back, I wish I had built a little more, but everything's in hindsight. And who even knows? Yeah. Who even knows?
Well, exactly. I mean, life kind of goes, it makes changes for us sometimes too, right?
It didn't go the way I planned.
Exactly. Yeah. They should write a book on that.
When your life plans don't go as planned.
Yeah.
I think that's a good book title. Let's write it.
Exactly. Exactly.
One thing you spoke about is that people don't just work for income. Can you talk about why work actually matters in people's lives beyond the paycheck? I mean, we did talk about community, camaraderie. I feel like there's a good reflection there of the lockdowns and what we saw happening to people when they couldn't get out. Some people loved work from home, but there was mental health crisis happening for those people that couldn't go back to their place.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of things, again, that connection and connection, personally, as much as people don't like people, people like people and need to be around people, right? So definitely, again, it goes back to that connection. Identity, we didn't mention that. And I don't always think that that's healthy, that we wrap ourselves so much in our identity, sometimes those titles, but those are things that...
It still is important when you've worked really hard for something. I don't know that identity, but it's a part of who you've become.
Yeah. Right? Well, it's a purpose, your purpose. I write under purpose, I write down, I have these things that I write down on the board, but purpose, your why, your values. This is, one time I was asked, what's the meaning of life? And to me, the meaning of life is taking care of our health, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. And then following our values. And they'll shift and change, and things will happen in our life where we have to adjust them, or we need, take a second glance at them. So, and then also I want to say, contributing in some way to society. I don't know if that's the purpose or the identity.
Contribution, absolutely. Legacy work. That's when you've contributed, pardon me, and you feel a part of something, and that continues on after your career.
Yeah.
There's been so many studies about what happens when people retire. Like at 65, like you said, you don't want to retire early. And I mean, this station is entirely volunteer-based, and it's a lot of retired folk. And I think that there has to, when you say purpose, it's not just this big, huge thing that you've changed the world. You get up, you have somewhere to go, you have intention for your day, routine, like you said. We need that as human beings.
To keep, absolutely, yes. And I was working with one lady who had just retired, and I said, who are your people, like your connection, like, is that going to be volunteer? Is that going to be? And she's like, oh no, I'm going to, babysit my grandkids, and I've got my husband. And I'm like, that's going to happen for 6 months, maybe a year, and you're going to go squirrely, and you need something outside of that too. And it's healthy.
Yes.
Sometimes our circles aren't healthy, and so we need that connection outside to kind of go, whoa, I need to adjust.
I need to leave home and go do something else.
I just need a break.
I do think too, when you're working in a job, you have to sharpen your conflict resolution skills and your tolerance for people.
Yeah.
So I think we miss that point too. Yes, is it easier to work at home with your cat? Yes, it is.
Yeah.
But the real world requires ongoing conflict resolution. Knowing, like Kenny Rogers, knowing when to hold them, knowing when to fold them, right?
Exactly,
Picking your battles, knowing what you're going to die, the cross you're going to die on.
Your values again. Yeah,
your
exactly.
Values, yeah. And realizing that, I love that you actually do values work, because realizing that you might not value the same thing as your coworker, even if you're really good coworkers, you're going to butt heads at some point.
Yeah.
And it's rolling that back.
Yeah. And the other piece too is that you do value the same thing, but for different reasons too. And so, you might be like trying to get to that finish line on a project, and sometimes it's like getting to the finish line for some people, and some are like the experience and the so it's different. It is different.
I don't think they teach it in schools. I know
they are, but I don't know if we value it as much. Even at that age too.
Because again, talking to my peers as our kids were growing up, there was families that was like, I don't care. I want them to be able to make lots of money, because if they have lots of money, then they can do the things they love. And in my head, I'm like, but 9 hours out of your day, 5 days a week is going to do this thing. And if you're an extrovert and you took accounting and you're sitting by, that might not be
the right. Yeah, right? Well, and there's all those theories around that too. Like, do you stay in careers because your family did it? I remember I had a baker in my workshop once, and he was so stressed to tell his generation that this is not what he wants to do. He wanted to become an accountant.
Ironic.
Yeah.
But from being a baker and owning a baker and dealing with people and complaints and problems, numbers don't argue. So I can see that, right? If that's not a good fit for your personality, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And the generational component, the guilt that might come with that. And for young folks saying, Mom, I don't want to be a doctor. I actually want to be whatever, right? Oh yeah, that's a whole lot. That's a whole nother list of work. For listeners that are just tuning in, I'm here with ChelanCotter. She's a career development practitioner, and we're talking about what really goes into rebuilding a career, a life from the inside out. And what a great conversation. I love this because we all have to work. We live in a society where we do need an income. That's just the reality. But I had a conversation with one of my good girlfriends last night, and what we sometimes miss is that not everybody is going to value. Again, like we said, I'm kind of losing my train of thought. My ADHD is kicking in because I've got so many ideas in my head. But that when we get an idea of what a career looks like, we can romanticize that career, like being a forensic scientist just because you like CSI. Or being an investigator, you're sitting in your car eating fast food. Like, you need to know the reality of it.
Absolutely. I love that you're saying this because, so I do a couple of activities. My favorite activity one is buying a car, right? We're buying a car, and what's the process of that and everything that goes into it. And have you ever bought a car that was a bad decision and then looking at why? It's probably pressure, timing, I needed it, all these things. Now, where was I going with this?
In a course, you talk about
buying a car and the process.
And being forced into it. I don't know. Maybe we're not meant to talk about that because we both lost our train of thought. It'll come back.
Okay.
What actually pushes someone into change? I just want to say I'm postmenopausal, so I will forget things all the time.
Me too. Well,
So it's part of my...
It was such a good one where we were going with it too. It's like buying a car, the pressures, the
romanticizing a career.
Oh yeah. So I don't know how you'll edit that, but
I won't.
Okay, good.
It's real.
So it's like you picture like I want a Lamborghini.
Yep.
But then you start to realize who you are, your personality, your lifestyle. You have 6 kids. How can you drive a Lamborghini? So then all what I call the buts come into play. So there was 2 parts to that. One, it's that romanticizing, like I want a Lamborghini, and then you realize I really don't want the Lamborghini. It's not a fit for me in my life right now. The other part was my favorite activity is doing the whole career, like buying a car, and you talk about you brainstorm all the things that go into it.
Yeah.
And then at the end, I put EER at the end. So career, buying a career.
Buying a career.
So you're buying a car to buying a career, and
what is your motivations for said career car?
Values come out. Like I want the electric car. No, I want the gas car. Again, family. Like your family. Like when I went Honda, my dad, I was thinking, oh, Dad, you're rolling. You wanted me to buy that Ford, didn't you? And like same thing, like with the baker, right? So there's such similarities to buying a car to trying to figure out that career. Yeah,
getting pushed into it, getting coerced, dreaming about zipping around in your Lamborghini when you really need a minivan.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think,
with 15 cup holders.
Yes, and snack bags everywhere and easy to remove mats. I think that is true because the word that does not ever really sit with the 20 and 30-year-olds is be practical. Right? But there is, in your career choice, there has to, because you'll set yourself up.
Yeah. So one of the things that I try to do in the beginning when we start to career research is don't be practical at the beginning. It's all based on personality and interest and what, and then we start to bring in the buts. And then that starts to kind of weed it out, right?
Start to fine-tune
the practicality part,
Yeah. What actually pushes someone into change? Because a lot of people stay stuck for a long time. And, we did talk about recreating your life sort of at later stages and after layoffs, et cetera. So that's one reason why. But what do you feel creates that?
And I love this question because it really shows the value of what I do. So typically there are a few things. Of course, you just lost your job or your career. You might have chose to do it, whatever it may be. It was chosen for you. So of course, that's the main reason why people come. However, loss or grief. So they've lost a spouse. They've lost maybe they're in a stage in their life where they've lost a child, or so they're coming. They need that job, right? Or they think that could be the answer, or it is the answer. It's a distraction.
Yes.
Right? So there's the loss or the death of someone, relationship breakdown.
Oh boy.
A divorce, and then why that divorce happened could be being brought into this too. Health or physical injuries.
Yeah.
You've been in a car accident, or you've recently, there's been any
illness,
health or injury.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. And then life stages. So parenting stages, even that, I love that young age, that 21 where they've taken a gap year they've just lost so much confidence, and then just to build that confidence, right?
Yeah.
So those are, I would say, the main reasons why people come to me. And typically, and this is the fascinating piece, most people are going through all of that.
Yeah. I think it's such a hard time to be looking for work after a loss. And you're absolutely right. People don't acknowledge that losing a job is a major, there's a grief process to that.
And they'll trigger things too. So if you didn't properly, and I'm not saying we grieve, whatever grief looks like when it comes to, you can bring a specialist in there for that. But if we don't do that properly, then it's going to trigger up in when we're looking for work. So, it's going to come up in an interview. The last place you want it to come up into, right?
Yeah, and all of a sudden you can feel yourself welling up, and then the distraction of that to try to stay professional, etc.
Yeah.
Do you see, I didn't ask you this question, but do you see people later in life circling back to what they really wished they had done? Is that a thing?
Absolutely.
I would think that would be a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, less pressures and things like that. And it's one of those things where it's like, if you followed the process again, trusted the process.
Yeah.
But that's what we also need as well too. Yeah.
But again, it's easier to know what you don't like.
Yeah.
You don't know what a job is going to look like until you get there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Do you find people like to leave or switch careers because they don't enjoy the people they work with?
Yes, that definitely can happen. And so that would, if I were to go to the 7 stages, that's kind of that last stage of the maintenance stage, is maintaining that work. Again, personalities, some personalities need to change lots of time, kind of like Tigger, like, go, and change, hop around. And then some need that career for 25 years or 30 years. They need that, right? So, and so that's a lot of my work too, is helping people with maintenance and communication, conflict resolution, and those skills. And because anybody can come into an environment and wreck an environment, right? So learn to deal with it now.
Yeah.
Right?
How are you going to,
It's not greener on the other side sometimes.
Right. And there is something to be said about that, not making those big decisions based off of a couple of bad experiences with one person.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Knowing when to stay put. Do you ever, when people come to you, do you ever tell them, no, I think this might be a good idea to stick it out a little longer?
What I'll do is I'll lay it out. I'll put it like, here's your pros and cons. And, sometimes staying and building that portfolio and, I don't want to say, even myself, like I have not really paid for any of my own education. It's always been my employers, Silver Star Mountain or Community Futures. Here, we want you to become a skills practitioner. And, so sometimes I'm not saying it, like it's a mutual beneficial relationship, right? And so sometimes sticking it out a little bit. And so that's another thing as I'll do is, one, I'll like lay it out for them, the pros and cons. But then if the decision is, yes, I need to stay here, it's providing for my family, it's checking the boxes where it needs to, but I'm not happy or I'm feeling burnt out. Okay, what do we do in your lifestyle that needs to complement and make sure that you can carry this out for...
And even, I think there's missed opportunities within a job too. Like people can get complacent with just the way their job is the same. But there are ways to talk to people and say, can I take on something a little different? Because instead of taking the same road all the time, how do we do a little something else to just give you a little spark back in your work?
Even like, it's interesting. Sometimes I'll take some of my clients and we'll go do informational interviews, and you'll see some of those people in their jobs that maybe aren't, like maybe they're stuck or not feeling great, and then just coming and asking them about their jobs, they start to like,
so much pride.
Yeah, like they start to realize, and I think it turns it around for them a little bit too. So I think even being asked about your job, it's like, again, you know, what kind of car do you drive? It's part of that process of figuring out what kind of car. And
I find even sprucing up your resume sometimes to remind yourself of, I've done a lot of really cool things.
Right now I'm working with an executive and just taking their resume and then like really revamping it and showing them what their worth is. And that's my job. I get to see people and I get to help them see themselves, and it just lifts them up.
Oh, that's amazing. I think that's powerful work, even just that. In a lot of ways, you're doing counselor work.
Like, it is,
in a lot, because there's so much beliefs, values, boundaries, conflict resolution, there's so much.
Yeah, and it's interesting because there's a lot of people that are doing counseling, and there's a really great place for them. Employment is kind of like a safety net for me too, because I like this right here. Yeah. I don't know, I might take, because of my personality, I might take a lot on that's down here. So I feel like I'm helping people here to come up to here too.
Yeah. So more coaching.
Yeah. It's been really hard to figure out what my lane is too, right?
Well, maybe you just kind of keep changing lane and merge on the same highway, but changing lanes a little. Yeah. You mentioned a really powerful experience coordinating education and admissions funding, where even with full financial support, success wasn't guaranteed. So can you share a story and what it taught you?
Yeah, that one was really fascinating in my career because, one, it was a very successful program. And a little bit about funding. Some of those programs, that funding gets dropped quickly and you got to move quickly. And so, again, if we could have trusted the process about like the proper career exploration and making sure this is the right fit and all that. And I also have a lot of people that come to me, if I only won $1 million, I wouldn't. No.
Yeah.
There's things, again, that you want to do properly. You want to do proper career research, making sure this is the right fit. Some people are making decisions because grandma saw on the news that they need paramedics or nurses, so my grandchild should go into nursing. Yeah. And then they get into it and they're like, oh, this is the wrong career,
or not quite right. It was my neighbor when I was about 16 that said, you would make a great social worker. And that's how I got in. Yeah, I think back on that and I think, social work wasn't really, I was working with really high-risk youth in Calgary, like gang-related, and same as you, I too much of an empath. Yeah. So I ended up burning out from that. Took time off, went to do general accounting for oil and gas, got pregnant, stayed home, now back to and counseling. It's just been an interesting path.
Well, and they always say too, we think that careers are like a stairway up, and it's really a roller coaster.
Yeah. It's like even I've seen that with entrepreneurship, right? It's like you think it's just going to be get your social media, get your business canvas, get your plan, get your whatever, but no.
And then COVID hits.
And then right. Oh my Lord. Chelan is here from ChelanCotter, who is a career development practitioner, and we're talking about what really goes into building a career, her 7 stages, which I'm looking forward to getting into in the next little bit. You mentioned that there's another story that really stayed with you, a client or situation that captures what this process can look like when it actually works. Is there somebody, respecting confidentiality, no names mentioned, but can you think of somebody that came to you that, I picture it just almost at your wit's end. You need to find another career. You don't want to mess it up this time. You see them go through the process and then now they're just thriving.
Yeah, well, The beautiful thing about my being in the place that I was in is I had a lot of people, thousands of people go through my workshops.
Yeah.
So to this day, it's pretty incredible to be, at the college and all of a sudden somebody walks by my door and they're like, they stop and they backtrack and they're like, oh my gosh. And then they wait for me.
Yeah.
Sorry, I get emotional now.
No, it's good.
And then they wait and they say, like, I'm here because of you. And that's
Everything.
pretty, yeah.
I mean, it's life-changing work when you get somebody on the right path. Like we said, 8 to 9 hours of your day is going to be doing this thing.
Yeah.
You might as well love it.
Enjoy it.
And then to know that you had, like, that's legacy work too, right? To know that you guided somebody. Were they at the college because they decided to change careers?
That was part of it too. Is like, it took me a little longer than I wanted, but here I am, and they were taking nursing. And it was the right fit, and their kids had gotten a little older, and yeah, it was pretty,
Amazing.
yeah. And then when you sent me those questions, because he spoke about it last week in your interview with Johnny,
Johnny
I should say Constable Braun.
I think he's okay with Johnny Braun.
Yeah. He mentioned about going through the Work VC program. So he had tagged in my workshops, and so he's like one of those ones when I'm seeing him drive by in his police car, or when he's wearing his suit and he goes in and talks to the employee program at Angie Fisher's program at Employ and at Community Futures. It's pretty full circle, and it's pretty cool to see. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
We have so many people in our community that are connected.
Yeah.
I've always loved our little community, but even just through doing this work, it's like, oh, you know this person, you know that person, this person helped me. Like, I do see, how do I want to word this? So I know we're talking about careers, but do you encourage people to do volunteer work? Like, let's just say somebody's stuck in their career and they can't really leave it. It feels like to have something else that sparks you. Could you do volunteer work to test drive?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's definitely that, and more of that is being offered by employers. So with the work that I'm doing with the health sampler, meeting with the interior health, recruiting and all of that, there's more and more places where you can do job shadowing and things like that. But also the volunteer can do a lot of things. Like when there's that pressure of making wages, that can be, but when you're volunteering, it's like you're giving. So sometimes that giving piece helps build skills and then the confidence, and then they see what they're doing, and then, let's do a resume now. And we can really pull that. And
it's a good thing to not forget to put your volunteer work down.
Absolutely.
Right?
And some are seeking it as well. Like there's a lot of employers that do, they either required or the industry requires it. I know the RCMP, that's something that they really require.
Yeah. Social work too, you need volunteer hours. I think you do for the teachers, and I can't remember now. I used to know a little list. You needed to have like 50 to 100 volunteer hours. Yeah. Just to even be able to get an interview.
Yeah. Yeah. And another thing too is, again, you can build those skills. So I used to be a PAC president for my kids' elementary school. And that was one way that I would get volunteers. Like, this is a place that you can build skills. Be a treasurer. Like, just think of the skills that you can put on your resume. And not only that, you're filing for grants for your school. Like, those are things that you can put on your resume, right?
Oh, man.
And you did that as a PAC president or the PAC treasurer, or that was volunteer work. That's just as valuable as any paid work.
Yeah, yeah. And it's such a great way to sort of test drive something.
Absolutely.
You could put in a year with no... even if you don't love it, there's no loss there.
Yeah, it goes back to buying that car, right? You test drive a car, you test drive the career.
You've mentioned two programs that I would love to know a little more about. You said the health sampler.
Yeah.
And then I think there was another education one.
Education.
Well, let's just focus on the health sampler because that was top of mind.
So the health sampler, that one is, it's put on by Okanagan College. And the students come from the school district. Okay. So I've got 17 students right now that come every week for 10 hours outside of their own heavy school load.
Wow.
Plus, most of them are sky volleyball, musicians that are high level pianists, and so they have quite the heavy loads in academics and those extracurricular,
yeah.
right? And then they're coming to a 10-hour course at the college. So it's fantastic. I am so impressed with these students, and then just being part of that program, learning these hands-on skills.
Yes.
Learning how how we've got this case study. His name's Kai, and he goes through all these different kinesiology, dental, nursing, pharmacists. So it's all of it. And
do you base it based on what you see where there's gaps in our area? Or do you kind of broaden that to do you want to live in Vancouver? Let's look at what jobs are in or do you kind of stay local for?
It's really what the students are so open right now, right?
Yeah.
So some of them are looking, for example, nursing. And again, some of them are looking at nursing, but is it LPN that I'm going to go into? Is it college level that I want to take? Sometimes those programs you're getting a way better education, or not, I don't want to say way better education, but a more thorough and a different learning environment, right? And then they might transfer to more of a diploma program or a master's program or something from those, right?
And those, I think a lot of times those certificate or I don't know if they're still called certificate programs, but all the things that you take and then you get a little work experience, you can go back in and just keep building off
Absolutely.
of that.
Yeah. So that was actually one of the suggestions from our kinesiologist lab instructor was go to Okanagan College, do the diploma program. The degree program is competitive, so there is a wait time. So why not do this while you're doing it and then transfer over? And then you've got this really great foundation, and then you're transferring over to 300 students.
Yes. And I feel like you're sort of testing the whole college environment and how you're going to study and getting your kind of bearings in a lower risk to the person, the student, the young person, or even maybe someone that's going back to school. It's just easier in the college. Yeah. I've always been a huge fan of the college here.
Yeah.
Okay. And I also heard, because you told me, that you host personality parties, which is such a unique way to bring this work to people. What are those and what do people experience in them?
So just taking a personality assessment completely changed my life. I remember being that kid that was pulled out of all the classes and really had a rough time in school, having dyslexia and all of that. I really never thought I'd have a career. And I also compared myself to everybody. So one day I took a personality assessment, and it helped me understand who I am.
Yes.
And it made me realize that I was born the way I'm supposed to be. The world needs me the way I am.
Yes.
And I don't need to change. There's, strengths and weaknesses that I, need to work on. But so I knew what it did for me. And then, in my work as a career practitioner, it is a tool that we use. It's a very good tool. It helps us I don't want to say speed up, but it helps us gather information really quickly. And then, and then I started doing these parties. And I did one it was a Christmas party, if you can imagine. Who wants to do a personality party for Christmas?
I love that stuff.
It was so fun. And they were young. They were in their 20s, and it was for a gym. And we did, they got to learn about themselves.
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a comedian. I know you, and so I enjoy, kind of. There's lots of laughing. We built a gingerbread house. I put them into groups, and then we built a gingerbread house, and it was just really fun to watch, to see the different personalities, and then why they did it, and there was no right or wrong way.
Yeah,
there was some frustration with others, but it was no right or wrong way. So I just love that it's a way that you can help couples, get a couple couples together. It's fun. The men don't realize they're kind of doing therapy in a way, conflict resolution and communication stuff, but they're having fun as well.
Yeah.
And And it's something that people take away from mother-daughters.
Oh boy,
You know, kids. I had one of my peers who had said the best thing I ever did was get my kids to take a personality assessment so that I could understand them better.
Yeah. All of my kids have done Myers-Briggs.
Yes,
Yeah,
right?
and my new partner, I'm okay, I need to know.
Yeah,
like,
right?
You know,
Yeah. I find with Myers-Briggs, it's so like, right? And so the colors is just something easy and simple that people can remember. But, and one thing that I've done, I'm hoping to do one for Mother's Day, is I've done it where I bring a tea, they're like a tea party.
Yes.
So there's 4 different sets of teapots, and like, which one are you most attracted to? Like the plain, like, you know, it's just perfect. It's just plain.
Yeah,
It's just
white.
no frills, And then you've got the Royal Dalton, like traditional, and then you
one that's a cat and it's pouring out of its mouth.
Yeah,
or, you know,
and then exactly. I've got the Blue Heron.
Yes.
And then I have one that's just a mix mash, like us, you know, 80 with people with, you know, like just go, right? Like I like a different set, different cup, you know.
Today these colors are nice for me. Tomorrow maybe not.
Yeah.
I think those would be so much fun. Like what a great idea. You know, I think we're always looking for fun ways to get together that aren't just, you know, let's sit around and drink or, you know, whatever. Something that is actually educational. We do a lot of games with my kids whenever we have like family get-togethers, or we'll do crafts. Because I find when you're sitting and you're doing something, you can have those conversations. So my mind is spinning with that.
And
Love
even
it.
just doing a puzzle, like how we do a puzzle, everybody's different. And then the reason why they do it. And it's just fun. When we were doing the gingerbread house, it was so funny because you could, you know, I threw them into the activity and then you could see some of them were like, are we not washing our hands? Like, have we not sterilized? And then there's some like let's just go.
They're licking the gummy or the jubies and putting them on.
And then we had the ones that had the plan and, you know, had to plan it out a bit. Yeah.
Oh, it's so much fun.
Yeah.
Hey?
And even the prizes, like I did a little thing on the social media there where it was like, what prize would you pick? Like, you know, even just the prizes, what people would pick and why it's so fascinating to me.
And it's such good information about yourself. I think we don't take enough time to get to know ourselves. Even, I talk probably too much about counseling, but even when I did do couples counseling, there's always the one person that has the complaints believes they know the other person better. Mm-hmm. But I'm always like, but do you even know yourself? Like, you know how hard it is to change someone else. Yeah. You start with yourself. It's just as hard to change yourself, you know, but you'll have better results. Yeah. Well,
and that's a hard part too, is going into that. But that's the worth. They're seeing their self-worth and they stand up straighter. Yeah. And then they also have more confidence in communicating too. Like, you know, that's who I am. Not like stuck in your ways. That's who I am.
Rigid boundaries.
But it's appreciating who you are. Right? Yeah.
And I think with a couple, you'd be able to like, that's why it drives you crazy when the drawers are open. Yeah. And then you can even have fun with it and go, yes, it's because my orange is showing, you know, or whatever.
Exactly.
I think I was orange. I was either orange or pink. I can't remember. I did the
I could
color
see it.
one too. Yeah, I can't remember now. So fun. So that is something that if people wanted.
Absolutely. Yeah, I do. Yeah. Cards. So I do it individually. Right now I've got a couple of young youth that I'm working with that we've done it individually. And then I have these fun parties that I put on. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay.
And then I do them for board of directors and corporations as
But well I think even it would be such a great professional development thing.
It is. Yeah. It's even on doing it on Zoom and stuff. I did it for a corporation. Big corporation out of Vancouver, and all their staff is everywhere. And so I did this activity where you had to communicate the way you do, and they had to do it in a timed fashion. And then to debrief that, like how you needed to communicate that, but how much anxiety it gave. And then what if I turned it around and I had this personality communicate first? How would it change? And it's just fascinating.
Yeah. Oh, you must just love
it. I love
it. I can tell you really love this work. Okay, we're into the last two questions, and we didn't even get to all of them. But
no problem.
So easy to talk.
We can do episodes.
Yeah, definitely.
Series.
Find your career episode. All right, so when this work really lands for someone, what changes for them? I think that's a great way to sort of wrap it up. I know we've sort of talked about that, but What is the biggest thing that you see changes when they do this work?
Yeah, so there's a couple things. One, I mentioned how people are walking, they're straighter, they're more confident and stuff. But really, and I might get emotional with this one, what I see is a lift, what I call the lift, and that's why I designed my logo the way I did. And have you ever done dragon boating?
I have not, but I have watched it and I'm fascinated.
So yes, so when you dragon boat, everybody's kind of paddling at their own pace, and they're strong paddlers, but it's kind of all over or whatever. It's just not. And then once you start to paddle and you get that pace or that rhythm, that boat just lifts and it goes. And that's what I see is I just feel the lift in people and then it goes. And that's why I made the dragon boat in my logo, because I'm the drum.
Right.
I'm just banging the drum, trying to get them to see their rhythm, see their worth, see the value that they have in society, and then just help them paddle.
Oh, such good self-esteem work too.
It is.
Yeah,
I love it.
Fascinating.
Yeah. And I'd have to say, in the end, it helps them find they're happy to their purpose. They're happy and on purpose, right?
Yeah, because it is. We don't just fall into things. And that's literally why I named it what it is. It's not just about the air fluffy. Like, we have to be intentional about these things. And if you just kind of go through the motions, whatever, we need other people to lift, to support. We need people with their information and their knowledge. We need community. We need to know ourselves. I mean, it's just all of it.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah. I love what you're doing here. I love it.
Well, I think what you're doing is awesome. So aren't we a good couple? Yeah. All right. We're at time. I can't even believe it. We've been able to almost kill an hour, but I feel like we could even do another 20 minutes. Chelan, this was such a meaningful conversation, and I think a lot of people will recognize themselves in what you shared, especially the idea that career change isn't just about making a decision, it's about moving through a process and understanding what's happening underneath it. I love that you're also bringing this work into more creative spaces, like your personality parties, so good, helping people understand themselves in a way that actually sticks. So if people want to connect with you or learn more about your work, they can find you on Facebook at Chelan, CHELAN _ Cotter, COTTER. You also said you don't have a website yet.
I do now.
Oh, you do?
I do.
Because it's all been word of mouth, which I can see because it feels so exciting. I'm like, okay, we need to have one of these parties. So thank you so much for being here and for the work that you're doing in this community. I really appreciate you being here.
Yeah, thank you. And back at you too. Yeah, thanks.
This has been Happy on Purpose. I'm Janess, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for being here. You can find more Happy on Purpose conversations on YouTube.